Okay, thank you all for coming. This is the public hearing for April 11th, 2023. Erica, could you please have roll call?
Commissioner Henry.
Here.
Commissioner Tedesco.
Here.
Commissioner Baca.
Here.
Commissioner O'Dorisio.
Here.
Commissioner Pinter.
Would everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Baca.
Yes.
Commissioner Tedesco.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Dorisio.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, we have a brief proclamation for the 2023, April 2023 is Stormwater Management Flood Awareness Month, and then we'll be going to the Employee of the Season presentations. This is an important topic, and at a time when we aim to educate residents about how floods occur and what they can do to safeguard their lives and property. If we would ask, Lynn, I left you the proclamation, if you'd be willing to read that as our representative of the Flood District.
Good morning, everyone. This is a proclamation for Stormwater Management and Flood Awareness Month. Whereas the Adams County is a member of the National Flood Insurance Program Community Rating System, and whereas comprehensive planning for floodplain management is important to reduce flood damage to property within Adams County. And whereas Adams County implements stormwater and floodplain management programs, through the Community and Economic Development Department, Public Works, and the Floodplain Coordinator. And whereas the programs are implemented in accordance to the federal, state, and Adams County development standards and regulations. And whereas the programs provide services to the public, including enhanced public safety, reduce damage to property and public infrastructure, and increased opportunities for education about stormwater and flooding. And whereas the activities of the programs have allowed for a 10% discount on flood insurance for properties owners within Adams County. And whereas well-informed people make better decisions and they take steps to protect themselves from flooding by retrofitting their homes, buying flood insurance, and planning the actions they will take during the next flood. And whereas the Adams County Community and Economic Development Department and Public Works will implement a public information campaign to include the mailing of informational brochures to the citizens of Adams County and posting these brochures on the internet and social media. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Adams, State of Colorado proclaims this month of April 2023 as Stormwater Management and Flood Awareness Month. Signed by all the commissioners, Eva J. Henry, Charles Chaz Tedesco, Emma Pinter, Steve O'Dorisio, and myself.
Thank you, Commissioner Bach. At this time, we would ask that employees Jenny Hall, Director of Community Development, Greg Labrie, Senior Engineer, and Juliana Archuleta of Stormwater Administrator, please come join us at the podium.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jenny Hall, Director of Community and Economic Development. And honestly, I think this is something I really should just turn over to Greg Labrie, who has been overseeing this program for the past few years and made great strides in Adams County's position relative to stormwater and opportunities for our residents to save on flood insurance.
Thank you, Jenny. Hello, Commissioners. Again, Greg Labrie, Floodplain Administrator for the county. Also have Tessa White with me, who is with the Stormwater Division of Public Works, and her colleague, Michaela's back there as well, who supports our program. We're very proud of the work that they do. So first and foremost, I'd like to thank the commissioners for allowing us to put our programs on this platform. It's very important that we continue to educate and inform our general public about the great work that staff is doing in protecting our streams and rivers and keeping them clean keeping them clean and unpolluted. We also like to make the general public aware that we're doing everything we can to keep the structures, to protect structures within the floodplain and protect the public health and safety through our floodplain management program. And so if there's one message that I'd like to convey to the public is that if you are a property owner and you have a structure within the floodplain, it is very important that you get flood insurance. Not only is it required, but it's just the right thing to do. I'd like to yield the floor to Tessa now. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for recognizing stormwater this month. It's not very known to many people. I believe it's extremely important to make ourselves aware of the impact that stormwater or that we have on the environment. Stormwater can pick up debris, chemicals, dirt, other pollutants, and flow right into the stormwater system, and then that leads directly into our streams and lakes like the South Platte. And then also polluted stormwater runoff has, like I said, many adverse effects on plants, fish. So if you like fishing, hunting, anything that we do to pollute the environment can affect them. And I would like to let the public know or have them to remember, pick up after your pets, wash your cars at car washes, repair your leaking vehicles, and dispose of household chemicals properly. And then I would encourage everyone to visit the stormwater page on Adams County website and test your knowledge with the stormwater quiz. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you all very much. Commissioners, any comments? Okay, no, we appreciate you. Thank you all very much, and thank you to the rest of the team that's working on this important endeavor. Okay, next up, we have Employee of the Season Award, and we're going to start off. This is where we publicly celebrate the winners of the county's Employee and Team of the Season Awards as we recognize those honored for the winter 2023 season. These employees have gone above and beyond to demonstrate outstanding service, dedication to the county and its residents. We first announced the Team of the Season winner, followed by the Employee of the Season category winners, and finish with introducing the overall Employee of the Season winner, followed by a group photo. The winners and their supervisors are here with us, and we have a chance to speak after we have read their nominations. We'll start with Team of the Season Award, Commissioner Baca.
Great, thank you, Chair. All right, so we begin our Team of the Season Award, and we're joined this morning by Amir Fakir, Director of Facilities and Fleet Management, along with the building maintenance team of over 30 hardworking employees. So the Team of the Season Award recognizes project teams and work groups that have successfully collaborated outside their normal routine work duties to accomplish a significant goal that positively impacted the workplace or the Adams County community. The building maintenance team was nominated by Miranda Rose with this submission, and I quote, "This team goes above and beyond daily, 7 days per week, 52 weeks per year. They are continuously maintaining building operations, regardless of staffing shortages, vacations, or illnesses. They work hard to make sure everything is done, from the lights being on to the HVAC system working and clearing sidewalks and roadways of snow and ice. They are supportive of others on the team and are always willing to jump in to complete tasks our internal customers are requesting. These individuals are consistently showing up with positive attitudes and solutions to problems. These individuals are also respectful, compassionate, understanding, and exceptional at times in adverse environments. They are behind the scenes in Adams County." So here at the podium, would you please, I have Amir that would be coming to the podium. Would you please, or anyone from the team, like to say a few words? So good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, and thank you. Amir has some family birthdays, so he's not here today. I want to just reach out really quickly and thank Miranda for her recognition of the operations team. If the operations team would stand up. This is a representation of our 50 or 60 operations folks that are throughout the county, and I'd like to take just a second to brag on them if I could. We have over 40 buildings, including the new public health buildings, which equates to over 2 million square feet of buildings that our team takes care of. And diverse buildings, we're doing salt domes, we're doing the Leader Blade Station out east, to this building, the detention facility, Homes for Hope, a Justice Center, just all over. And our team needs to have an understanding of everything: electrical, plumbing, paint, carpet, and probably the dreaded I'm hot or I'm cold. You know, trying to, at least at my house, that's a balance that I've never been able to manage. But in many cases, this team, in all cases, the team are going into our staff space, which they operate in. And so besides the technical knowledge, they need to have the understanding of who's in that space. And in the case of Homes for Hope, they're actually in the space where folks are living. And so it's not an easy job they do, and they do an excellent job. And I certainly appreciate what this recognition for this team. Miranda, do you have anything else you'd like to add? Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. And again, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Henry.
The first Employee of the Season award today is for the Success in Practice category. For this award, we welcome District Attorney Brian Mason and Tara, I'll kill your last name, is it Capolago?
Couple of
All right, the Success in Practice category honors individuals who play an integral role in a successful interventions, problems resolution, and improvement with customer, residents, or process of Adams County. Tara nominates from Claire reads, Tara has been with the Victims Witness Service Unit of the DA's office for 17 years. She's an unwavering pillar of strength and support on this team and has long deserved recognition for her dedication to the office and serving the Adams County community. Her caseload, the Child Victims Unit, is inarguably one of the hardest in terms of subject matter, and she handles each case with sensitivity. She is compassionate, intelligent, and humble, and empowers vulnerable survivors and their families. Her humility is by the enormous impact she makes in the lives of the survivors she serves. And as the lead advocate and mentor to her fellow colleagues, Tara may shy away from the spotlight, but she sure does deserve it. Brian and Tara, would you like to say a few words?
I would. I try always, when I can, to be here when an employee from the DA's office is recognized, but Tara is particularly special to me. Tara started in the office 18 years ago as a volunteer. After volunteering in our Victim Witness Unit, she got a job as our front desk receptionist. And after serving in that role, was promoted to victim advocate for county court, which is our newest attorneys, helping newest attorneys in our victims who are victims of misdemeanor cases. I started in the office in December of 2006, right out of law school, naive but excited to have my first job as an attorney, and Tara was my advocate. And Tara famously said to one of her colleagues after her first conversation with me that she wasn't sure I was going to make it at the DA's office. But over the years, she and I worked very, very closely together. And I have to just tell you one story about Tara's advocacy as a victim advocate. For the last several years, she has been our lead victim advocate for child victims. One of my most memorable cases of my career several years ago now was the prosecution of a serial rapist. This man, over the course of over the course of 10 years, had raped 4 separate women, always at night, always at gunpoint or knife point. He would break into the house, rape the woman, and then escape. And his very first victim, her 5-year-old boy, was there, and he made that child watch. That was an unsolved case for 10 years until the defendant committed a low-level felony in Arapahoe County, and we had 4 DNA hits. And so suddenly we were able to prosecute him. And that 5-year-old boy was now 15. And for 10 years, he had felt guilty that he hadn't been able to protect his mom as a 5-year-old. And no one could get through to that kid. No one could get through to him. And yet we needed him to testify about the worst moment of his life. And the only person who could get through to him was Tara. And it was a miracle worker. She was a miracle worker with that child. And got him on the stand, and he testified, and we convicted that man, and he's serving essentially a life sentence. And that is one of many examples of the amazing work that Tara does as an advocate for victims in this jurisdiction. I will also say, when this nomination was made in December, it was made by our former director of victim witness. Over the years, we've had a lot of turnover at that position. And when a director has served in that position for a few years and then moves on, we always have a period where we don't have someone leading the unit. And it's an incredibly important unit of several employees and advocates. And whenever we have a time where we're without a leader, Tara has stepped in. And even though she didn't aspire to be a leader in the office, she became one. And about 2 months ago, I finally just promoted her to the director position herself. So a woman who started out as a volunteer and then a receptionist and then an advocate is now leading one of the biggest units in one of the most prominent district attorney's office in the state of Colorado. And she is the best advocate I know. And I'm so proud to stand up in support of her today as she receives this truly important recognition. Tara Capolongo.
I want to say thank you, and I am extremely honored to work at the DA's office. It was my dream to volunteer, and it's become my passion and my career. And thank you.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment of personal privilege to say thank you, Tara. When I was at the district attorney's office, you were outstanding, and you exhibited everything that we need in people in the criminal justice system. The right level of grit, the right level of grace, and that's why we need to express gratitude for you and everyone who works in that position, so thank you. Commissioner Tedesco. No, next up, sorry, thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right. The next award is for the Extra Effort category, which honors individuals who provide a unique level of service that fosters good business relationships and enhances a positive reputation. Please welcome Phyllis Trujillo, along with Director of Human Services, Katie McDougall. Phyllis received this nomination from Tony Marie Gallegos as one of the administrative assistants within child support. The extra effort Phyllis gives to our clients in listening and understanding their needs and providing resources and making the extra effort to make our clients feel respected and helped is a big reason for this nomination. Recently, our department had a parent come in who only speaks Nepali. He came in with a translator to make sure he received the help he needed. Phyllis immediately understood the problem and escalated the concern and departmental leadership and our child support, to flip the page, attorneys to this client. It made all the difference in the levels of confusion, frustration, and concern he was bearing. This is one of the many examples where Phyllis takes the ownership of a problem to ensure it is resolved. She is a special human being whose work ethic and kindness does not get overlooked. Thank you for always making the extra effort in all you do. Katie, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you, commissioners, for recognizing Phyllis. What is in the nomination is true. I've seen it firsthand, the way that Phyllis interacts with our residents and makes them feel comfortable. Sometimes when they're going through some hard things and trying to navigate some really complicated issues that they may have, she always stays so kind and so generous to them and is patient with them. So thank you for taking the time to recognize her today. And I'm going to turn it over to Michelle to say a couple of words as well.
Good morning. Phyllis, I just want to say congratulations to you and thank you for your commitment of 23 years to Adams County. Your hard work and dedication is greatly appreciated by our customers and your coworkers. The effort you put in around the office does not go unnoticed. I know I speak for all of us that we are fortunate to have you as a friend and a coworker.
Good morning. I want to thank you for the kind words and for the selection. Tony Marie for the nomination. We have an awesome group of specialized workers in our team in child support services. And what we do makes a difference in the lives of children. And we get to decide what kind of difference we're going to make in those lives, in our lives. And I just thank you. Have a great day.
Our next category is Making It Happen, and we welcome back Human Services Director Katie McDougall. Don't go away. Along with Nazla and Naziullah. So did I say that right? Nazla, Naziullah. And this Making It Happen category honors employees who achieve a desired outcome despite facing adversity such as lack of resources, unexpected challenges, and more. Nazla was nominated by Cindy Henderson, who wrote, Nazla is a Head Start education supervisor who came up with the bright idea to seek, apply, and secure grant funding to purchase as many high-quality car seats and booster seats as possible for Head Start families who do not have a car seat or booster seat to properly restrain their child. Over the last 3 years, the grant funding she secured enabled her to purchase high-quality car seats and boosters that Head Start preschoolers could grow into with convertible seats and boosters according to industry standards. This program has prevented many families from being fined or ticketed for not possessing an age-appropriate car seat for their preschool child and kept children from being injured or even worse. Nazla is saving preschoolers' lives. Katie and Nazla, would you like to say words? And did I pronounce that right, Nazla? Najla. Thank you.
So good morning again, commissioners. Thank you for recognizing Najla. What is written in her recognition form demonstrates who she is as a leader every day. She cares deeply about the teachers that work with her as well as the children that are in Head Start. And so we are so fortunate to have her leadership and her care and true grace as she works so closely with kids as they gain their education. So I will turn it over to Susanna to say a few more words.
Thank you. Commissioners, thank you for recognizing Najla. It is truly an honor to work with her. She's worked for our Head Start program for 20 years. She started as a teacher, and now she is a supervisor in the education area. And I just want to share, and I want to thank you, Najla, for taking the initiative in doing what you needed to do to help a family. And you thought of one, and it was several families. Head Start exists to prepare children for kindergarten. And to also support generational success in partnership with families in the community. And Najla, you saw a need. You saw a need, and you could have said, well, you know, we don't have any funding, we really don't have a way, but you found a way to do that. And you found a way to support families, and I thank you for really considering the health and safety of children and doing so.
Thank you, Najla. Would you like to say anything?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to have participated in innovation grant writing. The results were very successful. The grant provided Head Start families with car seats to get their children to and from school safely. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to make it happen.
Thank you, Najla. Commissioner Baca.
Okay, the next category is a new category. It's the Performance Accelerator category. The nominee accelerates team and organizational performance by developing strategic, innovative, and/or continuous improvement solutions that result in improved outcomes. Director of Human Services Katie McDougall is coming back to the podium with Trish Conklin. Farron Lee nominated Tricia Conklin. Farron Lee nominated Tricia by writing, "Tricia has been extraordinary in helping new team members transition to her team. She has gone above and beyond to ensure the transition from training is as smooth and efficient as possible. She has provided training on various platforms, invited new members to team huddles, and created an overall inviting and welcoming environment. I'm incredibly grateful for her support and encouragement." Katie and Tricia, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Commissioners, for recognizing Tricia this morning. Everything that's mentioned in the nomination is absolutely true, but I'm going to expand a little bit because Tricia has gone above and beyond to support not only her team, but the department as a whole. She is often contributing to work groups to see how we can serve customers better. The training that's alluded to in that nomination is not easy training. It is with our community support services team where they have to know several different types of public assistance programs and Medicaid programs. So her support goes beyond just our team members and reaches into our community. And I'm so glad that she's being recognized today for all of her hard work. So thank you.
I'm so excited to be here. Super excited to get this award. And I've just enjoyed my time at Adams County. It's been really great working here. And I have, there's just so many amazing leaders that have inspired me, some of whom are here today. One of them I just want to name Dr. Robert Clayton, who's been just amazing for me and has been somebody who's really come alongside me to help in my leadership development and helped me to see the county vision. So just really excited for what the future holds for me here. Thank you for having me.
Commissioner Henry.
Next, we present the new Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Champion category, which recognizes an individual who seeks opportunity and initiatives that strive to make Adams County an employer of choice by creating an environment where everyone belongs and feels supported, encouraged, and respected. We have Dennis Swain, our Diversity and Inclusion Administrator, here along with David, is it Jerion, hopefully? David was nominated by the A Proud co-chair, who wrote in part, "David has an infectious attitude that brightens your day as soon as you see him. We can always count on getting a genuine and thoughtful compliment from him. When having a conversation, he is always fully present and engaged, which is hard to find these days. His effort in A Proud and throughout Adams County are the perfect example of allyship and servant leadership champion. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. He is an asset to our community and a great representative of how we should all be to one another. He is consistently working to ensure that DEI is at the forefront of everything we do. He is always working to develop himself and others and helps guide our peers through the difficult topics found in DEI work." Dennis and David, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Commissioners. First, I'd want to thank you all and our leadership, our senior leadership team, for continuing the work of diversity when most counties are not doing that. So thank you. I also want to thank Shelley because she does so much work in this space to prepare for recognition, so she often doesn't get the recognition sometimes because she's behind the scenes. There are a lot of things I wanted to say about David when I started thinking about what to say, and so I figured I better write it so we're not here for a long time. And so what I wrote was, from the minute you meet David, you can feel how authentic and genuine he is. It is no mistake that David is the very first Adams County team member to win this award. David embodies what it means to be We Are Adams, a tremendous team player who's willing to step back and let others shine, a caring and patient father who lovingly advocates for his kids, a person always willing to challenge the status quo in a professional and caring way, and a person willing to support or even speak up for equity when most people would be afraid to be the voice of reason. David is the type of person Adams County should be proud to call one of our own, and he will represent us with a strong social equity lens. Adams County's future looks bright with people like David leading the way.
Thank you very much. And I feel like I'm winning an Oscar, so I wrote like an Oscar kind of speech. So just don't play the music and cart me off. But
No music, you're good. Yeah, you're good.
So thank you, commissioners, for this award and the recognition. Thank you also for making DE&I a top priority here in Adams County. Please know that as you continue to make DE&I a top priority here in 2023 and beyond, you have the support of APROUD, myself, and countless others. To my wife, Amber, you have always been by my side to support, encourage, and lead me in the most loving, thoughtful, and caring ways. Without you, I wouldn't be able to show up as authentically as I am able to and pursue my passions. Thank you for being my everything, and I love you more. To my leaders, my coaches, my mentors, and my friends, Dennis and Heather, you continuously play a critical role in my life and push me to be better today than I was yesterday. I will never be able to thank you both enough for this opportunity and the countless opportunities to come. Last but certainly not least, to APROUD. I recently heard that some DEI practitioners throughout the country have started to refer to DEI work as JEDI work. That stands for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. I just got to say I love that. And I maybe possibly adapt that here. And I believe that every single APROUD member is well past deserving of the Jedi Master title and has earned a spot on the Jedi Council here at Adams County. And so to my fellow Jedi Masters, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for all that you do, and may the Force be with you.
Thank you very much. Love the Jedi. All right, Chaz Tedesco.
All right, now we will present the Unsung Hero category. On behalf of Jose Suarez Hernandez, who is out of town, we welcome back Amir Fakir, Director of Facilities and Fleet Management. The Unsung Hero category honors individuals for providing high-quality, reliable, and critical work that, if not completed, would compromise operations. This person functions behind the scenes, is willing to improve work situations, and does so without fanfare or being prompted. Stephanie Wallace and Chris Reef nominated Jose by writing, "We have the privilege of working with Jose, the environmental services technician on the 5th floor. Not only is he one of the hardest working people we've ever known, but he continually goes above and beyond to do every aspect of his job with the utmost care and precision. One example is when he cleaned the interior windows of offices without being asked. He saw a job that needed to be done and did it so well he raised the bar for the service provided through EVS. It is apparent that he takes pride in what he does, and that pride is well placed. But his best quality is a kind, humble, caring colleague who always has a smile on his face, despite arriving at work in the very early hours when most of us are still sleeping. Thank you for everything you do." All right, I'm going to turn it over. And that's not Amir.
It's not Amir. It's Jeff Bowman again. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Stephanie and Chris. I don't believe she's here, but would you like to say a few words?
Yes, so Jose couldn't be here today. He's actually enjoying his family in Mexico. So we're very sad to not have him here, but happy he's with his family. You know, along with the whole EBS team, they do a fantastic job in keeping things on the up and up for all of us daily. But Jose, his smile and just good morning every morning was just so refreshing. Because, you know, we all have those days where we're like, oh, I'm going to work. But Jose was always just top notch. And exactly like we stated in the recommendation, he did whatever job needed to be done. And if he needed help, he would call on his team. So it's just a great pleasure to be able to nominate him. And hopefully we can have him come back to where he can take a picture with the commissioners, because I know he would really like to do that as well. So
Thank you.
thank you. I'll leave that there.
And the EVS team, I know we have some folks.
Woo!
They're here to support Jose. We have April Van Beest, supervisor of the team, and Raymond Nyheiser, and I believe Raymond might just say a couple words on Jose's behalf.
Right. Thanks again to Stephanie and Chris for the nomination for Jose. I know he set it out as a goal to win Employee of the Season or a category. When we announced it to him, he, with a tear in his eye, I made it. And the little bit that I wrote for him, it is an honor to accept the award for Jose. Jose is a wonderful individual with a positive personality and an infectious smile. His work ethic can only be described as inspiring. April, myself, and the EVS team are very proud of him and are very eager to see what he accomplishes next. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, finally, we have the new first responder category, which honors individuals who are the first to respond to an emergency or threat and have the responsibility to protect the public to the best of their abilities. Come back up, Katie McDougall, Director of Human Services, and Annie Schmeckpepper. Submitted by Betsy Kalkstein, Annie's nomination reads, Annie is the only caseworker dedicated to investigating child death and near death, serious medical child abuse, and human trafficking. These are already emotionally and mentally taxing subject areas that require extra time, effort, and collaboration with other professionals. In December, she went to Cleveland to assess a client and the client's mother in the hospital, even though a local caseworker had done a courtesy face-to-face interview to meet our response time. She knew she needed to be in person with these clients to really engage with them, understand the issues, and to make them feel heard and valued. She has continued to spend countless hours on Zoom meetings, phone calls, and professional staffing on just this one case to ensure the child is safe and having her very complicated medical needs met. I don't know how she does it, but she's amazing, and I am impressed and proud of her every day. Annie deserves to be recognized for being the hero these severely abused and neglected children need, end quote. Annie is more, and I'll have you guys know that Annie is more than just the winner of this category. She is also the winner overall employee, winter employee of the season. So as such, Annie is going to be receiving a $350 in Culture in Action points and a trophy in addition to her certificate of recognition. Katie and Annie and team.
Again, commissioners, thank you for recognizing Annie. This is just one example of many that I've heard of Annie's professionalism, her dedication, her care, really her tenacity to make sure that children are safe in Adams County. She has bridged many partnerships with our local police departments as well as our school districts, as well as anybody who can really come around and support families. And so she is so deserving of this award. So thank you so much for taking the time to recognize her. And I'll turn it over to Carrie.
Good morning. Thank you so much, commissioners, for recognizing Annie as the winner of the first responder category and also the overall employee of the season. I can't think of anyone who is more deserving of this than Annie. Annie is often the first person that a family sees when they have experienced the unthinkable, the death of a child in their family. Something that a family should never have to go through, yet they still do. Annie's compassion and skill provide such a service to these families on their very worst day. Additionally, one of the many great qualities that Annie possesses is her ability to build strong, collaborative partnerships with our community. Whether it be partnerships with law enforcement, social workers at Children's Hospital, coroners, or our district attorneys, Annie knows and understands the importance of these relationships in ensuring that children are safe and families are healthy and thriving. She takes pride in being a trusted partner, and these partners regularly complement her work and her collaboration. As you can see, Annie is getting ready to go out on leave to become a new mom, and we are really excited for her. Her absence will certainly be felt not only by our team members, but also our community partners. This really is a testament to the great collaborative work that she does. Thank you, Annie, for all you do for our families and our community. You make us proud.
Annie?
Good morning. Thank you for all the kind words from my team. I know in my nomination, my supervisor said that I do it all without complaint, but I need to clear up the record. I literally complain every single day, all day. So I really do. I love my job, and it's only possible because of all the talented and passionate people that I work with that help me every day. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Okay, our Employee of the Season category award winners will all receive 5,000 Culture and Action points and a certificate of recognition. To all of our winners, thank you for your service to Adams County and the community. We would also like to thank all the employees for joining us today, both in person and watching live stream on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, to support your colleagues as they are honored for their great work. We also encourage you to nominate deserving coworkers. The Spring Employee of the Season nominations are now open. So please visit the My Adams website for more information on how you can nominate deserving coworkers and teams. At this time, we will go down to the front and take a photo with all the winners. Okay, as we wait for everyone to shuffle out.
We can talk later.
At this time, we're going to go to public comment. Erica, do we have anyone sign up for public comment?
Commissioner, we do have one person signed up for today's land use case.
Perfect. Is there, for that person who signed up for land use, we'll have you speak during that land use case. There's going to be a portion for public comment in that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone who did not sign up that would like to speak now in the open mic time? Seeing none, we're going to move on. Elected officials, any communication from elected officials? No? Chaz Tedesco.
Yeah, I didn't see it on the calendar, but happy National Pet Day. I am the proud recipient of 5 little chihuahuas running around my house, and I don't need any more, but I did think that everybody should have the blessing that I have and go see our adoption center and get a fur baby of your own. So thought I'd just put that out there. We celebrate National Pet Day today.
You giving away one of your 5 chihuahuas?
I am not. They are permanent.
Okay. All right. All right, next we go to consent calendar. Can I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Baca?
Yes.
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Odoricio?
Yes. All right, moving on to new business. County manager.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have a couple of items for you all this morning. The first one is a resolution approving an agreement between Adams County and Johnson Controls in the amount of $337,780.41, or, yeah, 41 cents. $780,041, we're missing a period in the cents, for the boiler replacement and installation at the Adams County District Attorney Building, RFB 2023.307. Eric Bryant will present today.
Good morning, Commissioners. The existing boiler system at the Adams County District Attorney Building is 20 years old and has exceeded its expected service life of 15 years. The current boilers are 82% thermal efficient and will be replaced with boilers that are 96% efficient with lower carbon emissions. This new system will reduce our natural gas needs and reduce the building's carbon footprint to be more in line with the county's sustainability program. A formal invitation for bid was solicited through BidNet. Bids were opened on March 13th, 2023, and 2 responsive bids were submitted. After verifying the unit prices for each company, the Facilities and Fleet Management Department confirmed that Johnson Controls is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. The Facilities Department recommends awarding the boiler replacement installation at the Adams County District Attorney Building to Johnson Controls in the amount of $337,780.41. Any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Boilermaker?
No, I'm always happy.
Thought you would be. All right, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
How about a second, Mr. Boilermaker? No? Lynn?
Second.
All right, we got a second.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Baca?
Yes.
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Odoricio?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is a parks item. We have a resolution approving an agreement between Adams County and LAZ Parking Midwest LLC in the amount of $298,950 for parking services at the Adams County Fair, RFP 2023.302. Cassandra Vossler will join us today.
Good morning, Commissioners. Cassandra Vossler, Fair and Special Events Manager with Adams County Parks, Open Space, and Cultural Arts. This morning I'm presenting the 3-year parking services agreement for the Adams County Fair. Parking and traffic are the first and last impressions a patron receives when attending an event. If the process to enter is frustrating, they arrive to the fun activities angry. No matter how exciting the event may be, if the process to exit is frustrating, those enjoyable moments quickly become a distant memory, and sometimes they choose to never return. Parking services for the Adams County Fair manage ingress and egress of upwards of 15,000 cars, collect fees, and assist with road closures created to allow emergency access and a seamless free shuttle service. Since COVID, more technology has been introduced to allow for less cash transactions and a more efficient accounting process, while also allowing a more streamlined entrance for patrons. After the 3-year agreement with Code 4 expired in 2020, an RFP process was done and SP Plus Parking was awarded a 3-year agreement beginning in 2021. At the end of the fair, they decided the event was logistically more than they could handle and decided to terminate the agreement. In 2022, Laz Parking Midwest LLC was awarded a 1-year contract after an RFP process was done and there were no applicants. At the conclusion of the event, we received several compliments from attendees, bus drivers, and emergency personnel about our traffic flow and the ability to staff professional road flaggers posted along the road closures on 124th. The formal request for proposal was posted on BidNet, and proposals were submitted on February 17th, 2023 for parking services for the Adams County Fair. 2 proposals were received and evaluated on the following criteria: vendors' qualifications, list of current and former clients, vendors' track record of working on events of similar size and scope, the proposed service plan, forms of innovation and technology used to execute the service plan, and fees charged for service. After a thorough evaluation, Laz Parking Midwest LLC was the most responsive and responsible proposer, providing the best value to Adams County. It is recommended that the Board of County Commissioners approve the agreement with Laz Parking Midwest LLC to provide parking services for the Adams County Fair in the amount of $99,650 per year for a total 3-year agreement of $298,950. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Baca?
Yes.
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Mauricio?
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, County Attorney.
Good morning, Commissioners. We would ask that you go into executive session as time allows today. This executive session will be led by Deputy County Attorney Doug Edelstein, and it is pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 24-6-4024B for attorney advice regarding treasurer litigation.
So moved.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Baca? Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Mauricio?
Yes. Okay, anything else? Nope. All right, we're going to take a, it's 10:23. Let's take a 7-minute break to allow staff to get set up, unless you need longer than that. No? All right, we'll be back in 10 minutes. How's that? Thanks. We're going to reconvene the hearing. Start with the land use piece. It's all yours, staff.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Layla Bajlan. I'm a senior long-range planner with the Community and Economic Development Department. And the case before you is RCU 2022-38, and this is 5901 Federal Boulevard, TOD rezone. And the address of the subject request is 5901 Federal Boulevard. So this request is for a rezone on roughly 3.2 acres. The current zoning is Industrial 2, and the applicant is proposing to rezone the property to Transit-Oriented Development, or TOD. So this shows the location of the subject parcels. It's located to the west of the Federal Clear Creek Station. You can see I-76 to the south. It does front along Federal Boulevard, and the Clear Creek does make up the western and northern property boundaries of this site. While Federal Boulevard currently does look a little bit industrial in this area, we are seeing several redevelopments, and the Clear Creek Transit Village has recently received preliminary approval for a mixed-use development directly to the north of the subject parcel. And it is important to note that there are two separate parcels here that have been combined into one tax parcel. The applicant will apply for a minor subdivision final plat to combine the parcels once the rezone is approved. So this shows a closer aerial image of the subject parcel. Currently, it is developed with a used car lot. However, a majority of the property is undeveloped, and you can see the Clear Creek does make up those boundaries of the site. And then the light rail lines do make up the southern property boundary as well. So as mentioned, the current zoning on the property is Industrial 2. Our Industrial 2 zone district does allow for a wide range of industrial uses. Surrounding properties are a mix of industrial zoning, including I-1, I-2, and I-3. And again, there is that Clear Creek Transit Village PUD that has been approved to the north. So redevelopment in this area is on the horizon. And the future land use designation on the property is mixed use. By approving this rezone, we are bringing the current zone district more into conformance with the future land use. The mixed use zone district would support higher density residential and our mixed use projects within the zone districts. So the criteria of approval when considering a rezone include that the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan, that it's consistent with the development standards and it complies with the development standards, and finally, that the request is harmonious and compatible with the surrounding area. So in looking at this rezone, the applicant is proposing to rezone the 3.2 acres to transit-oriented development. This is the second TOD rezone in the county. And then this would be more compatible with the future plans that we have along Federal Boulevard, as well as the comprehensive plan designation of mixed use. So in addition to the criteria of approval when considering a rezone, the transit-oriented development zone district does have additional requirements. So the site has to be located within the half-mile buffer of selected transit stations that include the Federal Station and the Pecos Junction Station. It requires a TOD sketch plan and elevations be submitted, and they are binding with the rezone. And the director does have the ability to send any modifications to that sketch plan or elevations to the Planning Commission if they are deemed major changes, if the applicant does change them prior to building permit. Multifamily is a permitted use in the Federal Clear Creek Transit-Oriented Development regulations. And then there's open space requirements at 20%, and additionally a 400 square foot per unit requirement. And then we do consider multimodal transportation when considering a TOD rezone. And finally, the minimum density for multifamily in the Clear Creek TOD buffer is 18 dwelling units per acre, and the proposal is for 27 dwelling units per acre. So this image just shows you that this is within the half-mile buffer. Additionally, it is within the quarter-mile buffer. It's located directly to the west of the Federal Clear Creek Station, so this does have direct pedestrian access. There's a signalized intersection here along Federal to provide direct access to the station. And this is the TOD sketch plan that was submitted by the applicant. This TOD sketch plan is very busy. However, this demonstrates that there are 4 buildings and 87 total units that include studio, 1 and 2 bedroom units. And the applicant is currently proposing that this be an affordable housing project. They are providing the 20% open space along the western portion and the northern portion of the site. Being adjacent to the Clear Creek, there is a natural resource conservation overlay that does require 150 feet from the Clear Creek. The applicant has applied for and been approved for a variance to allow for a setback of 59 feet from the Clear Creek. This matches the floodway boundaries on the property where development would be constrained anyways, but a majority of this portion is in the floodplain. And in this open space, the applicant is providing the 400 square feet per unit. If developments do have 12 or more units, a minimum of 20% of that open space has to be provided in community facilities. So the applicant does have a community garden and exercise space on the north. There is a child's playground that is proposed, walking trails along the Clear Creek and within the development. There's a gathering patio and then a community office proposed to meet the open space requirements. Again, the density minimums for multifamily are 18 dwelling units per acre, and this is proposed at 27 dwelling units per acre. Parking is provided in conformance with the regulations, so 111 total spaces are provided in both surface parking and tuck under spaces. Our requirements are a maximum of 2 spaces and then a minimum of 1 space, so 87 units, and the applicant is providing 111 parking spaces, which meets our requirements. Additionally, all buildings are facing internal drives or the adjacent Federal Boulevard, which does meet our requirements. And then landscaping and setbacks will be met, and a formal landscape plan will be required at the time of use permit to change this to multifamily if the rezone is approved. So here are the elevations that are submitted by the applicant. These are proposed to be 3 stories. The TOD regulations do allow for 95 feet in height when adjacent to an arterial. However, the maximum height within this development is proposed to be 45 feet. There is a variation in the roof heights, and they do meet the 20% opacity with windows and other openings on the building. They're providing common entryways, which is a requirement for multifamily. And then with the tuck under parking, they are meeting the parking spaces. So here are a couple images of the subject site. This is looking to the southwest from Federal Boulevard. As mentioned, the site is developed with a used car lot, so you can see that development and then the light rail station to the south of the subject property. This is looking still to the southwest. This is looking at more of that vacant portion of the subject site. This is looking to the east across Federal Boulevard. You can see the light rail station and the signalized intersection that would provide for direct pedestrian access. This is looking to the north along Federal Boulevard, and on the left-hand side of the screen would be the proposed Clear Creek Transit Village, which again has recently been approved for preliminary plat. And that would provide for 1,125 dwelling units and roughly 250,000 square feet of office and commercial space directly to the north of the subject parcel. And this is looking to the south along Federal Boulevard. Again, you can see the light rail, and then I-76 would be off in the distance, and the subject property would be here to the right. So during the referral period, staff notified all property owners and occupants within 1,000 feet of the subject site. We did not receive any public comment on this request. We also notified several referral agencies throughout this process, and initially CDOT had some concerns with traffic and the lanes with the width of the bridge. Those concerns, CDOT has provided an updated letter that those can be addressed at the time of building permit. And initially, Adams County Fire and Rescue had concerns with access on the site, but again, that could be addressed at the time of building permit and is not necessarily applicable for the rezone. So this case was heard at the Planning Commission on March 23rd. The Planning Commission did vote to recommend approval with a 7-0 vote with 4 findings of fact and 8 notes to the applicant. There were no members of the public there to testify in support or opposition to this request. And the Planning Commission had some concerns with the structures that are proposed in the floodplain and the floodway, and our floodplain manager can help to address any questions on that. Certain structures are allowed in the floodway, and then the applicant is working and has been approved for a floodplain use permit for the buildings themselves. So to provide a brief summary on this request, this is harmonious and compatible with the surrounding area, especially with the Clear Creek Transit Village being developed to the north. In addition, it does bring the property more into compliance with the comprehensive plan and the mixed-use future land use designation. It does meet the requirements of a rezone, additionally the specific requirements for a TOD rezone. It is within the half-mile buffer, and the applicant has provided a site plan that demonstrates that they're meeting all of the open space and community facility requirements on the site. So staff today recommends approval of the subject request with 4 findings of fact and 8 notes to the applicant. And I do have the findings of fact and notes on additional slides if the board would like to see them. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Questions for staff? Commissioner Tedesco.
No, I really have a question for staff. I think this meets kind of the vision of what's being proposed to the north, and it kind of blends in. I'm just curious on a couple questions. One is, what is the height that was approved to the north? And then I'll ask the second question after that.
I can look that up and I can get you an answer on that.
Yeah, that's fine. And then my second question is, I know that we're doing a lot of work in partnership with the Mile High Flood District along the Clear Creek. Does that incorporate that portion, or is this a possible extension of that portion so that we can get more of Clear Creek into that program and rehab that along the way? Because our ultimate goal, as you know, is to make Clear Creek more accessible to public use. And any time that we can have partners, you know, both the development to the north and the development now to the south, to rehab those portions that are critical. And then, since you're up here, Greg, I'll ask, because of this development in Federal Boulevard, will there be a requirement, especially with the floodplain and the floodway, to widen or increase the capacity of the flow under either the rail or under Federal Boulevard?
Okay, currently.
A lot of questions.
Yeah, currently there is no plan at this point to widen that area. That would come if ever we would build a bridge over Federal. I think the bridge is the more restrictive thing at this point. The bridge is going over the Federal Street Bridge that's going over Clear Creek. That's the restrictive piece. With the buffer that we have that we have there, if in fact the bridge ever gets built, we have room to widen if need be. At this point, we've armored and are. If we haven't armored, there's designs in place to armor the banks of the river around that curve. And that was probably the biggest plan. As far as the accessibility to Clear Creek, the Mile High Flood District has plans in place to do some east of there as well as west, but not at that specific location. And essentially, that's as much as I know at this point what's going on in that area.
I asked that question because I think there's a possibility to partner, and since there is development on both sides of the creek being done, having that work done while we're doing, if that's possible or if that's a recommendation or whatever it may be. I feel like this is the perfect and opportune time to address that.
Yeah, yes, and staff agrees as well, and we definitely have been involving Mile High with both developments and getting their input on how we should proceed. And so they've been very involved with it and vocal, and we think that the plans that are in place now will meet the not only Mount High's requirements, but our requirements as well, so.
And then for the other question, the reason I asked for the height is I seem to remember that the height on some of that project was tiered to where the tallest buildings were backed up towards the creek. And I'm asking that because if they're, I just want to know whether they're, I thought they were 5-story, but I could be wrong.
I remember, and I was trying to find the exact height, but I think Christy may have found it. But I do remember that they were tiered because they wanted to phase it in to the Aloha Beach neighborhood,
Right.
where we had lower heights around that area and then higher heights more towards Federal Boulevard.
Right,
Do you
but
remember
you
hear
have-
that, Christy?
The reason I'm asking is because this one is 3 stories. If you have 5 stories, then you have the rail. 3 stories, and then 5, you're boxed in.
Okay.
And Commissioner Tedesco, so Clear Creek Transit Village will be coming in front of you guys for a final development plan. But they do have a tiered height limit based on certain planning areas. So it does go from Federal Boulevard, where they're proposing around 95 feet for the larger buildings, to down to where the creek is and close to the lake goes to 35 feet.
Right. That's what I was asking, because I kind of remember that it was at the max limit of our height. I'm just trying to picture what it's going to look like with a raised rail elevation on one side, and then 95 feet on the other side, and then 45 feet in this little like pocket. So I'm just trying to picture in my mind what that's going to look like, and just seems like I'm not discrediting or discouraging this project. I'm just saying it seems like we're building into a bowl with.
Okay, other questions? Commissioner Baca.
So on Clear Creek, I heard in the presentation that there was a setback from Clear Creek for 150 feet, but they received a variance to 59 feet. So is that, who was the approving party for the variance? Is that us, or?
The Board of Adjustment approves variance.
They approve variances. So is there any amenities or access to the creek? I'm just in fear of encroachment and clutter along.
Greg Labrie might be able to answer a little bit better, but at this time, there is no access to the creek on this side,
Okay.
on the south side. I think the Clear Creek Transit Village project is planning some access to the creek. And I don't know, I guess, is this project going to allow for creek access as well, Greg?
Yes, I know that specifically if it's access or not, but I know they've made improvements, which is one of the reasons why they want the variance, but they made improvements along the bank there of trying to make a tiered structure so you just won't have a steep drop off. So they kind of layered it and design calls for some improvements along there, which was one of the reasons why they wanted to get that variance, so they can build those type of structures. But it's not building structures or apartments or anything like that, but it was structures to help restore that area and armor the bank, if you will, and allow for open space so people can access it.
I understand that. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, Greg.
And then some of these questions we might be able to ask, I haven't gotten to the applicant yet, so they're going to be able to answer some questions too. Are we good? Okay, could the applicant please come forward, state your name and your address for the record, and then tell us more about your project.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Hal Fairbanks, 1364 Mall Street, New Orleans, Louisiana. I actually had some involvement with the Clear Creek Transit Village, working with the ownership group that sold it to the current group. And I know the tiering was designed to have taller buildings towards Federal and shorter buildings away from Federal. It wasn't really taller buildings on the creek and smaller buildings away from the creek. It was really more towards Federal. And the idea was to feather that down so it was more compatible with the Aloha Beach neighborhood due to concerns posed by that homeowners association. That was done, my understanding, through a PUD process. Our project is being permitted as a as a TOD. And during the time we were working on that project, we put this one under contract about 3 years ago with the intent of doing a transit-oriented development in keeping with the county's objectives for the area around the Clear Creek Federal Station. And with respect to the area along the creek, we're planning an environmental restoration of that area. Right now, there's a abandoned borrow pit from sand and gravel pit operations. You can kind of see in the pictures that Layla showed that were, there's kind of a big scoop taken out of the site there. And the hardship variance will allow us to fill that, and we plan to restore native habitat with native grasses and plants there and provide access as an amenity to the development we have that's outside of the floodway. So our intent is to provide access and to naturalize the area along the creek. We've been, as I said, working on this for 3 years. It hasn't been easy. We've been through a pandemic and now a doubling of interest rates, but we think we have a program that works for the site. It's been a pleasure working with the Adams County Planning and Development staff and Greg Labrie and Layla Bejalon, and to have a city or a county that wants to do the right thing and wants to support transit and facilitate smart growth is something that we want to do, and why we want to work in concert with the county. And so we've intentionally tried to follow all the things that the county has wanted, which is in keeping with what we want to do as developers. So I'm available for any questions. And
Any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Henry.
Thank you for that thorough explanation. I really appreciate it. So in a staff presentation, they mentioned affordable housing. So what is affordable housing to you?
Affordable housing is obviously housing that's affordable for families that are low-income families. And in this case, affordable housing can be done in a variety of ways. In this instance, we're applying to CHAFA for affordable housing tax credits, which by virtue of syndicating the credits and bringing in an equity investor who's allocated those credits, they put up a big chunk of equity, which allows you to have extremely small debt on the project. By virtue of the smaller debt, you can have lower rents that are affordable to people making 60% of the area median income and less, and still pay your operating expenses. The project doesn't throw off a lot of cash flow. There's a development fee calculation as part of the process, and it's done through an open public process through the Colorado Housing Finance Authority. So we're going through that procedure right now, and the zoning is very important for that because they don't want to award credits to a project that doesn't have zoning and has to come up for a public vote that may be uncertain as to the future of the project. So we're in the middle of that process. Most people kind of try to get their zoning ahead of time, but we, with this vote and an approval, that will, I think, position us well for CHAFA and the receipt of credits through the process.
It's pretty competitive process. And, are you just planning to keep applying, or, what if you don't?
We're not sure. We've heard that sometimes people have to apply more than once. Yeah. There is some financing that's available through the Enterprise Foundation for affordable housing projects that could allow us to pay off some short-term debt we have on it. I'm not sure if we'll be pursuing that or not. We hope to get credits the first time. Roger Hara, our affordable housing consultant, is here with us, and he's guided us through the process with CHAFA. And, we think we have a good a shot as anybody. We understand that there's about 26 applicants and about 10 projects that they can fund. We're the only project this round in Adams County that's seeking funding. And so we appreciate the county's support, and we know that Adams County is one of the fastest growing counties in the nation, and this part of Adams County is one of the fastest growing parts of Adams County. And from what we've heard from county officials, this is an area that needs affordable housing. Our intent is to have housing in a transit-oriented development context, and through RTD to buy household family passes for everybody in the community, so that One of the amenities we'll offer is free mobility to all the residents, so they can get on transit or on the bus lanes that stop at the transit stop, and basically get anywhere around Adams County for free with the passes, including they can be in downtown at Union Station in 15 minutes or Old Town Arvada in 5 minutes on the train, and trains run fairly regularly. The other feature that we see as an amenity is the restoration of the habitat and the natural environment along the creek, and to provide access to the residents. So that's creekside living, or living in harmony with nature in a way that you still, you aren't out in the country where you have to drive to affordable housing and drive very far to find something affordable. You can be right in the mix of things. And as Layla mentioned, there's other developments and redevelopment up and down Federal that we know just the Clear Creek Transit Village is permitting 1,100 units. So this is something that it's good to get affordable housing in on the ground floor before it becomes too expensive to afford later on. And so that's kind of what we see as the amenities for the project and the goal of the project.
Thank you. All right, if there's nothing else, is there anyone in the public that would like to speak? Anyone signed up on this matter?
It was the applicant that signed up.
Perfect. At this time, we're going to bring it back to the board for a discussion and maybe a motion. We could pull up the screen that talks about the different elements of a recommended approval, the staff recommendation. Any discussion from the board or a motion?
All right. Let's see. I move for a motion to approve of the subject requested RCU 2022-38 within 4 findings of fact and 8 notes to the applicant, and move for its approval.
Second?
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Baca,
Yes.
Commissioner Tedesco,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Dorisio.
Yes, congratulations and good luck on your project. Hey, staff, do you guys ready to jump right in, or do you need more time to the next case?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Good morning again, Commissioners. My name is Layla Bajlan. I'm a Senior Long-Range Planner with the Community and Economic Development Department. In this case is Birchleaf Major Subdivision Preliminary Plat. This is case number PRC 2023-5, and this is located northwest of the intersection of Clay Street and West 55th Avenue. So within this case, there are 4 requests. The first request is for a major subdivision preliminary plat on roughly 1.47 acres that would provide 10 residential lots and 2 non-residential tracts. There is a waiver from the subdivision design standards to allow for a private drive, a waiver from the subdivision design standards to allow an average depth greater than 3 times the average width. And then finally, there's a waiver from the subdivision design standards to allow for new residences to be set back less than 30 feet from a common property line with an adjacent residential use. So this shows the location of the 2 subject parcels. They're located northwest of the intersection of West 55th Avenue and Clay Street. This is located south of I-76 and located east of Federal Boulevard. Surrounding properties are primarily single-family residential or duplex development. This is primarily zoned R2. And this location may look familiar to the commissioners, as there was recently a TOD rezone for Berkeley Villas that was approved to the northwest of the subject site. This provides a closer aerial image of the property. That both parcels are developed with single-family homes and associated accessory structures that would be demolished if this request were to be approved. And the current zoning on the subject property is residential 2. Our residential 2 zone district does allow for single-family and 2-family dwellings as a use by right. Surrounding properties do primarily contain the R2 zone district as well, with the exception of the recent Berkeley Villas TOD rezone to the northwest, and then properties along Federal Boulevard are zoned as Commercial 5. And the future land use designation is urban residential. This case was applied for prior to the adoption of the 2022 Advancing Adams Comprehensive Plan. It does have a 2023 case number because once the waivers and the preliminary plat were combined, that was done in 2023. but the urban residential future land use designation would support requests that provide for a mix of housing types, particularly those that provide one dwelling unit per acre or greater. And all surrounding properties do contain that urban residential future land use designation. So the criteria of approval when reviewing a major subdivision preliminary plat include that the request conforms with the subdivision design standards, that the applicant has provided documentation that demonstrates adequate water supply and adequate sewer service to provide for the proposed subdivision, that any soil or topographical conditions have been identified, that there's adequate drainage infrastructure in place and adequate public infrastructure that includes curb, gutter, and sidewalk, that the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and any applicable sub-area plans within the area, that the request is consistent with the development standards, and finally, that the request is harmonious and compatible with the surrounding area. And when looking at the waiver from the subdivision design standards, there are 3 criteria of approval, and they include that there's an extraordinary hardship or practical difficulties that result from strict compliance with these standards and regulations, that the purpose of these standards and regulations are served to a greater extent by the alternative proposal, and that the request does not have the effect of nullifying the purpose of the standards and regulations. So this shows the proposed preliminary plat submitted by the applicant. There are 10 residential lots that are being proposed and 2 tracts. The tracts are for the private drive, and then there is a tract on the northern portion of this property that would provide for drainage on the site. When looking at the R2 zone district standards, there is a minimum lot size of 3,500 square feet, and then a minimum lot width of 35 feet for an internal lot within the R2 zone district. All lots are meeting this requirement. Additionally, there are some power lines that do run through the site, and there is a utility easement provided on the plat for those as well. The applicant has provided documentation that they can be served by Denver Water for water, and then Berkeley Sanitation for sewer services on the site. And Xcel Energy has committed to providing energy on the site as well. When looking at the waivers, Lot 10 is the lot that does need the lot depth to width ratio requirement, and this is due to the requirement for the private drive and the fire department access. This is also why there is a unique configuration to lots 9 and 10 here. That is to ensure that they are meeting the fire district standards for emergency access. And additionally, we do see developments such as this request the private drive waiver, just because this private drive does only serve this site, and making this a public drive does not provide for any greater resources to the surrounding properties. And then the 30-foot setback adjacent to a residential use is within our subdivision design standards. However, this site is an infill site, and it would be very difficult to meet that 30-foot setback along their eastern property boundaries, so the applicant is requesting that waiver here as well. So here are a couple images of the subject site. This is looking to the north from West 55th Avenue. This is the 2 parcels that are part of this request. As you can see, they are both developed with single-family homes. This is also looking to the north from West 55th Avenue. You can see one of the single-family homes, and you can just see how narrow these parcels are existing, and the northern portion is primarily vacant on these sites. This is looking to the east along West 55th Avenue. As you can see, there are no sidewalks within this area. As part of the final plat and the subdivision improvement agreement, the applicant would be required to put in sidewalks to help improve the mobility within this area. And this is looking to the west along West 55th Avenue. Again, adjacent properties are primarily single or 2-family residential. And then you can see Federal Boulevard off on the western portion of this image. So during the referral period, staff notified all property owners and occupants within 1,000 feet of the subject site. We sent out a total of 267 notifications, And we did receive 4 public comment on this case from 3 unique commenters. So 2 of these public comment were in opposition, stating concerns with traffic, gentrification in the area, housing affordability, and then the lack of commercial in the area. There were 2 comments that were neutral. The first, and they were from the same individual. The first comment did express concerns due to how close the proposed buildings would be to their house. And then in their second comment, they provided suggestions on redesign of the private drive and the plat to push those houses away from their property line. This site has been developed with the private drive the way it is to meet fire department requirements, and the applicant did work with Adams County Fire and Rescue to provide a private drive and a plat that does meet their requirements for emergency access. So we notified several referral agencies throughout this process as well, and Adams County Fire and Rescue did have initial concerns with the private drive, but the applicant was able to work with them, and they are meeting the private drive requirements for emergency access for Adams County Fire and Rescue. So this case was also heard at the Planning Commission on March 23rd, and the Planning Commission recommended approval with a vote of 7-0 with 9 findings of fact, 5 conditions, and 8 notes. There was no public comment on this application at the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission did have some concerns with the frontage of proposed Lot 9. The applicant was able to address this, and this was proposed due to the hammerhead requirement for the emergency access. And they also conditioned this case to have the applicant look into providing additional parking within the private drive, and the applicant will look into that at the time of final plat. Those minor amendments can be done at the time of final plat. That would require an adjustment to the plat as shown today, and it would require that the applicant work with the fire department just to make sure that parking would not interfere with any emergency access. So to provide a brief summary on this request, all lots are meeting the residential 2 zone district standards that include a minimum lot size of 3,500 square feet and a minimum lot width of 35 feet. This request is compatible with the comprehensive plan designation of urban residential. The applicant is not proposing to rezone. These lots are zoned as residential 2 and would be meeting the standards of the zone district. This is harmonious and compatible to the surrounding properties, as many of them are developed with 2-family homes currently. And there is adequate water, sewer, and infrastructure that is provided to the proposed subdivision. This subdivision does have direct access to Federal Boulevard to the west. Denver Water, Berkeley Sanitation, and Xcel Energy are committed to providing services for the proposed subdivision. So staff today recommends approval of the subject request with 18 findings of fact, 5 conditions, and 8 notes to the applicant. The waivers are not heard by the Planning Commission, so that's why there were 9 findings of fact, and we did add those 9 findings of fact in for the waivers specifically that added up to 18. And that we do have all findings of fact, conditions, and notes on additional slides if the Board of County Commissioners would like to see them. But that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Okay. Do we have questions for staff? What was the total square footage of the overall 2 parcels together?
It is 1.47 acres. I can get you that in square feet.
I'm just wondering, like, had this been divided up into different duplexes, it'd probably be roughly the same level of density or not? Like if this were 5 separate parcels, each with 2 units. You see what I'm asking?
Yes. So the R2 zone district does require the 3,500 square feet
Right.
per unit, and that is being met with this request. There would be frontage concerns if it was 5 different parcels. That's why the applicant is requesting the private drive that runs from the north to the south. But this would not be adding any additional density per the zone district requirements.
Right, and that's my question is, you got 10 times 3,500 is 35,000. That's definitely less minimum than what is presented here, which means you're covering it. Had this been divided up roughly, except for the frontage piece. I'm thinking aloud, sorry. All right, thank you. No other questions from the board? Can we have the applicant come down and please state your full name and your address for the record?
Good morning, Board of County Commissioners. My name is Alex Sowers. I'm at 704 North Pearl Street, Unit O. I'm a Development Project Manager with Red T. And I just want to thank Layla and the rest of the staff for working with us on this. With respect to everybody's time, we're actually going to just omit the presentation. Layla covered it all pretty well, but we're certainly available for any questions for you guys.
Got it. Are there any questions from the board? All right, any discussion? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move for approval of the subject request, PRC 2023-5, with 18 findings of fact, 5 conditions, and 8 notes to the applicant.
Second?
Commissioners, the clerk to the board reminded me that we probably should at least ask if there's any public comment. I know
That
there's
is
no one in the
totally
audience.
my fault. I am so sorry. Is there anyone in the I'm going to be fired. Is there anyone
not
from the
firing
public
you.
who would like to speak on this matter? Thank you very much. I see nobody running down the aisle. Back to the previous motion.
I moved. Lynn second.
She removes the previous motion.
Commissioner Henry.
And Commissioner Odoricio, we can't fire you because you were the only one volunteered to be chair. So, yes.
Commissioner Baca.
Yes.
Commissioner Tedesco.
Yes.
Commissioner Odoricio.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Is there anything else on the agenda? All right, we're adjourned.